Good morning. Before I officially call our case, let me just check in with my court reporter.
I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. Proceeding number 24R-0306E. We are on the record in Colorado Public Utilities Commission proceeding. I just identified 24R-0306E. This is a public comment hearing on proposed amendments to the Commission's rules regulating electric utilities, which is found at 4 Code of Colorado Regulations 723-3. My name is Melody Mirbaba, and I am the administrative law judge who is assigned to this case. It is March 25th, 2025 at 11 o'clock a.m. This public comment hearing was continued during the last public comment hearing held on December 16th, 2024, and was memorialized by decision number R24-0923-I, which was issued on December 17th, 2024. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here. Today, I want to go over a couple of preliminary matters before we get started on the public comment portion of our hearing. First of all, consistent with commission practice, we are webcasting and we are recording this hearing. We do have also a court reporter who is taking down everything that is being said. To make sure that we get a clear record, I'm going to ask everybody to keep your microphones muted until it is your turn to speak, and to also try to speak slowly and as clearly as possible so that our court reporter can capture everything that you are saying. In order to provide public comment, we've got to follow a couple of steps, and that is first, just confirm that the name that's appearing on the Zoom screen is accurate for you. That way I can call on you should you decide to provide public comment. Everyone was required to register for this hearing, so your name should appear as you input it when you registered. When it is time to take comment, I'm going to ask you to use the Zoom raise a hand feature to signal that you would like to provide comment. To do this, you click on the reactions button and then select the raise a hand option. And if you no longer wish to speak, you can lower the hand. Otherwise, leave your hand raised until you've been called upon. If you're having any trouble with using the raise a hand feature, you may instead just turn on your video to signal that you wish to speak. For those of you who may be participating by telephone, you will need to dial *9 to use the raise a hand feature and *6 to unmute yourself. In the decision setting this hearing, I did detail all the methods to provide public comment. I will go over those again at a very high level, but I just also want to remind everybody that written and oral comments will be given the same weight. However, we do prefer written comments primarily because people tend to be clearer or more persuasive in writing than when they present comments orally. If you want to provide written comments, you can do so through the Commission's e-filing system that's on our website. You can register for that e-filing system for free. You can also go to the Commission's website and click on the File a Comment or Complaint link at puc.colorado.gov. You may submit comments also by email and U.S. mail. Our email and mailing address is available on the Commission's website. No matter which way you submit written comment, please include the proceeding number 24R-0306E so that your comment can get into this proceeding. You can also leave a voicemail comment at 303-869-3490, and those will be placed into the record into this proceeding so long as you also provide the proceeding number when leaving your message. Okay, at this point, I'm ready to proceed to the public comment portion of our hearing. So anybody who wants to provide public comment, now is the time to go ahead and signal that you'd like to do so using the raise a hand feature in Zoom, and if by phone, dialing *9. I'm just going to go ahead and pause and wait for folks. I understand sometimes it takes a minute or two to get the raise a hand feature up and running. Okay, we already have one person who has indicated that they want to provide public comment. So if you could go ahead and turn on your camera and unmute yourself. I'm going to call on the person who's identified on my screen as Richard Littlebear. If you could, before you get started on your comments, just state and spell your name for us. And if you are speaking on behalf of any organization or anybody else, let us know who you are speaking on behalf of. Or if you're just speaking on behalf of yourself, you please also just let us know that. And you can begin whenever you're ready.
My name is Richard Littlebear, and I am speaking on behalf of the working group that's been working on the rules and for the Northern Cheyenne Tribe. I am a descendant of Chief White Antelope, one of the chiefs killed at Sand Creek. I am a full-blooded enrolled Northern Cheyenne. I have a degree from Boston, a doctoral degree from Boston University in Massachusetts. And I have been in leadership positions for most of my working life, and I have served honorably in the United States Army. I retired from being a college president on November 2022 after serving a cumulative 25 years from my tribe. I think the proposed rulemaking group and the Northern Cheyenne Tribe for asking me to be the speaker. I also thank the PUC for the opportunity to speak about the Sand Creek Massacre and related issues. It was very difficult to have the Sand Creek Massacre site finally recognized for its importance and for the lessons it teaches. In this time of indiscriminate firing of personnel, this site must remain staffed. I will talk about the aftermath of the massacre and about the proposed rules. But at first I must say that the Northern Cheyenne Tribe strongly supports passage of the proposed rule to support significant sacred sites. I understand that some definition changes are needed, and you will get a letter about that from the Northern Cheyenne Tribe. I have read section 3620 of significant sites, and to my unlawyerly grasp of the proposed rules, there seem to be adequate safeguards. For instance, identification of impacts of significant sites may be actual or potential. And this is a really good provision. It seems to allow for time for any action to be taken, especially when the site is described as potential. However, there are some other considerations that are applicable, probably more applicable to the general public. For instance, it wasn't until 1998, 134 years after the Sand Creek Massacre, that Governor Evans' second proclamation was finally removed from the halls of the Colorado State Capitol building. And this proclamation read, "Therefore, all citizens of Colorado, either individually or in such parties as they may organize, are authorized to go in pursuit of hostile Indians on the plains, scrupulously avoiding those who have responded to my call to rendezvous at points indicated. Also to kill and destroy as enemies of the country wherever they may be found all such hostile Indians. As a reward for killing these Indians, you have permission to keep the property of the victims." That is why we defend who we are, our relationships to land and land ownership, culture, and our language. Much of what this defense is because we usually end up being deprived of what we value. So our need to be on an equal footing with white people is a paramount consideration. I was a member of a commission researching the relationship between Native people and white people in the state of Colorado. It is entitled The Legal and Political History of Colorado Tribes, a report of people of the Sacred Lands Truth, Restoration, and Education Commission of Colorado. It is a report well written and well worth reading because it is also well researched. I want all people to live in harmony and goodwill. We want all people to live in harmony and goodwill. One way we can do this is to provide information about each other with each other. We can do this by educating white people and Indians because stereotypes damage both sides. in the People of the Sacred Land Annual Report of 2023, with a subheading, Uncovering the Truth, Educating Community, Restoring Justice to Native American, is a Native American curriculum. The following is written. In 2023, we launched a Native American history curriculum for elementary and middle school students. Ultimately, this curriculum strives to create an inclusive environment where students of all backgrounds can appreciate Native history and culture. On the side of the white people, Alinis Sklavenitis, a non-Native person, told me that she was already an adult before she learned about the Sand Creek Massacre, and she learned it by accident when she was visiting her father's grave in Denver. And she saw one gravestone engraved that this man had been killed by Indians at Sand Creek. Thus, for her, that began a lifelong mission to tell people about the Sand Creek Massacre. Contrast her experience with ours as Cheyenne Indians and youngsters who already know and knew about Sand Creek from the earliest age. The point is that the information about Sand Creek was suppressed for too long. Mr. Steve Brady was very interested in keeping alive the memory of his ancestors and what they suffered at Sand Creek. To the Cheyenne, Sand Creek is not a chapter in a history book. It is a vivid event that affects them to this day. It is a vivid event that affects us to this day. Mr. Brady worked for years to preserve the site of Sand Creek, and that is now a national historical site. A park ranger, for instance, can now explain the horrible events of that cold November day. It is to the Cheyenne, Sand Creek is not just a historic park. It is a sacred ground and always will be. Regrettably, Steve Brady died a few years ago. And what I just quoted was modified from a writing by Kenneth Detweiler, The Cheyenne Way. And that is all I have to say. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much for your comments. If you referenced a couple of different materials. I think at one point you referenced a report that you thought would be worth reading. If you think that might be helpful for me to consider when I'm my recommended decision in this case, see if you can get it filed into our proceeding and I will take a look at it.
Okay. I certainly will.
Okay, thank you. All right. Does anybody else wish to provide public comments? Again, you can use the raise a hand feature on Zoom and star 9 if you've joined us by phone. Now, I did indicate if you were having any problems using the raise a hand feature, you can turn your camera on. Yes, okay. And I just see that somebody turned the camera on and just used your raise a hand feature. Okay, so I'd like to call next on the person identified on my screen as Casey Cornelio, and I apologize if I didn't pronounce that correctly. I appreciate you've already turned your camera on and you have unmuted yourself. If you could state and spell your name for us. Let us know if you're speaking on your own behalf or on the behalf of any organization, and then you can go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I'm actually not Casey. My name is Manuel Hart. I am the tribal chairman for the Ute Mountain Ute tribe here in Southwest Colorado. Thank you for this opportunity, Judge Mirbaba. First, I'd like to introduce again myself, Manuel Hart, Manuel. My last name is Hart, Heart, and I am the tribal chairman for the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. On behalf of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe, I provide a brief public comment for the Commission's consideration of new rules that will clarify how the Commission and electric utilities identify impacts on sites of historical and cultural significance to tribes. This rulemaking arose out of the Northern Cheyenne tribe's outreach to the Commission on the significance of the Sand Creek Massacre National Historical Site when wind turbines and transmission lines were proposed to be sited in the viewshed of this eastern Colorado site. The Commission has stated that it has initiated this process explicitly to address protections of the Sand Creek Massacre National Historical Site and its viewshed. While this is a worthy starting point, Colorado's 2 resident tribes have made clear that such protections should be expanded beyond Sand Creek. Ute Mountain Ute tribe's reservations are down in the Four Corners region of southwest Colorado, but historically, the Ute people's territory include pretty much 2/3 the state of Colorado, all the way up to Wyoming, to northern New Mexico, and over on into Utah by Salt Lake. Is a huge land expansion, and these were what we call the Utes Aboriginal lands. We are the mountain people, and this is where the Creator put us. We have not migrated here. We were started here, and we've been here for 10,000s of years and since time immemorial. So our land's going to Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, northern New Mexico, and northeast Arizona. Although we have 2 reservations currently, we have a 600,000 land base, and we expanded to 3 states as of today. We have a small community in White Mesa, southeast Utah. Our main reservation is in southwest Colorado, and we have about 106,000 acres in New Mexico. So most of this is Ute traditional territory with a very high density of tribal culture and historical resources. The Ute Mountain Ute tribe is supportive of clean energy projects and has solar and hydroelectric projects in the works on our own reservation here on the Ute Mountain Reservation. However, there are places of important significance to the tribes in Colorado, the 2 Ute tribes that deserve certain protections for energy development. And this includes certain Ute battle sites in western Colorado. One is Milk Creek, and the other one is the Meeker Incident, which pushed out one of our sister tribes out of the state of Colorado, and that's the Uncompadre band. But the 3 other Ute tribes or 3 other Ute bands that are still in Colorado is the Weenooch, that's our band, and then the Mowatch and the Capote, which is the Southern Ute. Ute Mountain Ute supports new requirements for utilities like XL Energy, Tri-State to coordinate with tribes on new energy projects to help identify and consider how best to mitigate impacts to significant sites. Ute Mountain Ute tribe supports rules that would require project developers and utilities to engage early on with tribes. Tribal significant sites all across Colorado have been negatively affected by energy projects over the years. With these new rules, the Commission can help ensure that all future utility energy projects consider negative impacts to significant sites and work with the tribes to find the right balance to consider these projects after all viewpoints are heard. In addition, Ute Mountain Ute Tribes generally supports for this rulemaking and the new rules. I wish to provide 3 specific recommendations at this time. Number 1, many parties in this proceedings have put forward proposals on these new rules, including the 3 new rule definitions. The Commission should give deference for the participating tribes' definition in this rulemaking. Number 2, the Commission should work with the tribes and the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs and publish a formal tribal consultation policy for this commission, in addition to adopt a new significant site electrical rules. Number 3, the Commission should hire a tribal liaison following the lead of other utility commissions around the country, such as California, Oregon, and Minnesota. So in closing, Ute Mountain Ute Tribe urges the Commission to enact new rules that encourage tribal input in utility planning process for both utilities, developing new projects, and for the Commission in improving new projects. Enacting rules that require tribal consultation while also encouraging tribal participation in decision-making can only strengthen Colorado's energy future. With that, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate it. And you did get my name right. It's not always an easy one. Thank you so much for your participation and for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to provide comments? Again, just use the raise the hand feature and I will wait a moment. Okay, I see we've got somebody who has used the raise the hand feature. So I want to call on the person identified on my screen as Talia Bear. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Go ahead and state and spell your name for us. Let us know if you're speaking on your own behalf or on the behalf of any organization, and then begin whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you. And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Talia Bear. That's spelled Tahlia, last name Bear, speaking on behalf of Western Resource Advocates. Good morning, Judge Mirbaba, and thank you for the opportunity to speak in this important proceeding. My name is Talia Bear, and I'm an enrolled member of the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation and of Navajo descendancy, and a member of Colorado's urban Indian community. I'm also the Senior Indigenous Peoples Engagement Manager at Western Resource Advocates, an organization that has worked to ensure our communities thrive in balance with nature for more than 30 years. Western Resource Advocates supports the comments proposed by the tribes engaged in this proceeding, which are the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, the Ute Mountain Ute Indian Tribe, and the Northern Cheyenne Tribe. This proceeding is a critical step towards respecting tribal sovereignty, promoting meaningful involvement of tribes, and ensuring tribal ancestral connections to the land go into the future. Indigenous people have been caretakers and inhabitants of North America since time immemorial. Our state of Colorado is home to 2 federally recognized tribes with treaty rights and the ancestral homelands to 46 additional tribes who have been relocated outside state boundaries. The protection of each tribe's traditional cultural properties and sacred sites is necessary to each tribe's cultural preservation now and into the future. The 3 tribes who are participating in this proceeding are a testament to the benefits of a direct tribal engagement. For this reason, it is important that the Commission adopt timely rules that are informed by tribal feedback to protect culturally and historically significant sites. The Commission has proven that it has statutory authority and ability to issue decisions related to the protection of significant sites, as was the case when the Commission declined to approve a wind project due to adverse impacts to the viewshed of the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site, and required the utility to work with tribes, local authorities, and other stakeholders. I urge the Commission to use its state-level authority to expand its efforts to identify and mitigate potential impacts to significant sites from energy infrastructure projects. I appreciate the opportunity to provide comments and the Commission's continued commitment to this rulemaking, and I urge the Commission to adopt the blue lines proposed by the tribes. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and thank you.
Thanks. I was I've been trying to take really good notes as everybody is talking, so that was a little bit of a delay in responding. I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate your comments. Would anybody else like to offer public comment? And again, I'll just remind everybody to use the raise the hand feature. And if you're joining us by phone, all you got to do is dial *9. You can also turn on your camera if you're having any problems using the raise the hand feature, which is, you can find it under the reactions button. Okay, I think we've got somebody else who has used the raise the hand feature. So I'd like to call on the person identified on my screen as Catherine Zing. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. And what I'd like you to do is, just like everybody else, state and spell your name. Let us know if you're speaking on your own behalf or on the behalf of any organization, and you can begin when you're ready.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Catherine Zing, spelled C-A-T-H-E-R-I-N-E. Last name Zing, Z-I-N-G-G, and I am offering comments on behalf of Grid Alternatives. Hija kishana hini karagiwina, maihete rashara Catherine ga hingaire, ochunk rashara wihanga hingaire, wakjeki hikikaret hishi wa nankshana, egi hipi nankshana. Greetings, each and every one of you. Greetings, Your Honor. I was speaking Ho-Chunk, my language. My name is Catherine Zing. I'm a proud member of the Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin. I am the second oldest daughter of my family, and I am a part of the Water Spirit Clan. I serve as the Tribal Policy Director for Grid Alternatives, and I am here before the Colorado Public Utility Commission today to offer comments on behalf of Grid Alternatives that will sound different than our written comments we've submitted previously in this proceeding. For my verbal comments right now will reflect my heart. I've been a part of this proceeding since this last summer when it began. My responsibility as a Ho-Chunk woman and as someone who loves the land is to examine the relationships of those who care for the land, those who build on the land, those who seek profit from the land, and those who must consider their citizenships, their shareholders, their clients. It all holds together like a net. And I'm using a metaphor to hopefully unstick the mind of those who have been stuck in this proceeding for a very long time. And it holds together like a net. The knots that come up might be conflict, and every knot stems from a string. We all have many knots and strings that represent our families, our relationships, our jobs, and our duties to the people around us. And yes, these strings are also the land. Part of my duty is to examine and ask questions in the form of policy as to how the knots form between strings, and to extend to others accountability for the knots that they also have a part in forming. Through this important proceeding, the Colorado Public Utility Commission has an opportunity to be in healthier relationship with the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, and the Northern Cheyenne Tribe. And the Arapaho people is not mentioned here. That is why this rulemaking exists, because there are people here and who are no longer here that we must take care to remember. There is sorrow here that must be remembered. There is prayer here, and the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site deserves careful consideration. It deserves special relationship. There will be places that have been cared for, known by, and seen by others in this rulemaking by Indigenous people that the outsiders or others have not cared for. You have to build a relationship with anything or anyone before using its knowledge or resources. To build a transmission line on land that is not known intimately is to cause harm. This was the case with Colorado's Power Pathway project. I ask you to think of a spouse, to think of a friend. Land must not be used without accountability. Grid Alternative strongly supports the definitions proposed by the three tribes and asserts that this rulemaking is well within the jurisdiction of the Colorado Public Utility Commission. There has been so much knowledge and stories shared within this proceeding, inviting the Colorado Public Utility Commission into relationship with the tribes and the land that the tribes know best. the land that the tribes know, honor, and respect. Grid Alternatives urges a timely decision to be made that is appropriate to and accountable to the knowledge shared by the elders and the tribal leadership here today and throughout the duration of this proceeding. I urge a decision to be made that results in the action of codifying definitions of significant sites, cultural and historic resources, and tribal nations. I urge the establishing of a process such as the tribe's right to intervention in proceedings of relevance to a tribe, allowing other sites to be designated as significant per the Commission's judgment and engagement with tribes, and requiring notification to tribes early and thoroughly when electric resource plans and certificates of public convenience and necessity are filed by utilities. In conclusion, our connective knot here is the land. It binds the tribes, and it binds the tribal members here within this proceeding. There is a spiritual relationship to the land, and the proposed definitions that are clarified by the tribes and were begun by the Commission moves towards a relationship that is more circular and respects the Commission's dedication to equity. May the Commission be recognized for its action done with the tribes in this proceeding, as this is the first of its kind. Thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you for your comments. So I'll ask again, if anybody would like to provide public comment, go ahead and use the raise a hand feature. And again, if you've joined us by phone, you can do that by dialing *9. If you're having any trouble using Zoom's raise a hand feature, you can turn on your video camera. I will go ahead and pause and see if folks need a minute or two to do that. Okay, I'll let the record reflect that nobody else has indicated that they wish to provide public comment. I'll go over what I'm anticipating to be the next steps and make one last call at that point before we adjourn our hearing. At this point, I am not planning to set another public comment hearing. I think there have been a few comments here today that this case has been going on for quite a while. I am looking to get a written recommended decision issued as soon as I can, as soon as possible. And that would be delayed if I did hold another hearing. And I actually don't, at this point, think that there's much more to be gained through another public comment hearing. But what I am going to do is keep the entire record open until April 8th. For any comments on any matters that anybody would like, believes is relevant to this proceeding, and that includes filing any materials that were referenced today during public comments. That is also the deadline that I established for anybody who wished to provide comments in response to the materials that I took administrative notice of, which was done through decision number R25-0159-I. Okay, so that's pretty much next steps. You can provide additional comments in writing by April 8th so that I can consider those in issuing a written recommended decision. Is there anybody else that would like to provide public comment at this time, or are there any other matters that we should address before we adjourn the hearing? And you can, again, if you'd like to speak up, turn on your camera and or turn on your reaction, use the raise a hand feature through the reactions button on Zoom. Okay, I'll just note that nobody has indicated that they would like to provide comment, and nobody has also indicated that there's anything else that we need to address here today. I'll just let you all know this is not, I think that this is an important rulemaking, and it's not going to be an easy decision for me. I am going to consider everything that has been submitted in writing and all of the comments that are provided verbally at all of the hearings in this case. I will consider everything very carefully before issuing a decision, and that will go out in due course. I thank you all for your participation and your comments. I really do strongly believe that hearing from the public really does help this process, and it really helps me and the commission understand what the issues are that we are looking at. So I appreciate all of your help and your efforts. And with that, our hearing will be adjourned. Thank you all.